Well, the Tampa Bay Rays don't allow the trade deadline hoopla to impact their play on the field as they get another win against the New York Yankees.
Which means that's a series win at the Bronx with a chance to sweep. We're talking about that, plus the trade deadline moves starting right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also follow us on the social medias at Locked On Rays and email us anytime. We are seeking mailbag questions, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays win again. This time downing the New York Yankees by a score of 5-4. The Rays improved to 66-44 on the year. The Yankees fall to 55-52. You had enough offense, enough pitching to get the job done on the road.
Yes, you did. Let's talk about Eflin first. He shoves, man, and he's showing why that was a pretty smart deal by the front office to do during the what was it, November, December, during the hot stove. Yes. And look,
the largest, we should remind folks, largest free agent contract that the Rays have ever given out. For the Yankees, of course, it's a Tuesday, but for the Rays, it was a pretty significant deal at the time.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He has shown that he's a reliable arm, and the whole wrinkle about his 2023 has been, well, yeah, he can do it at home, but he can't do it on the road. Well, that's nice to know that he can do it on the road at Yankee Stadium, going 6 deep and allowing 3 hits and 5K. So which is really nice. And I think the biggest thing for Eflin in this case is it's not a great New York lineup.
Yeah.
And this is not like a Rays bias version. Like if you look at this lineup that the Yankees are putting out there, it's not the best you've ever seen if you've been watching baseball for a while. Like you're like, who are these guys? So the fact that you go in there and you might have that mentality of like, hey, this is not a very difficult lineup. It could get you into trouble, playing down to their level. It didn't. And I think that speaks highly of the maturity level of Zach Eflin.
Yeah, there was a time, look, Zach Eflin, he's been through a lot, experienced a lot. A moment like this shouldn't faze him. And I think it was the perfect time for him to really showcase himself on the road because, like you mentioned, the Yankees are reeling so much just as a team, but definitely offensively because, like we mentioned the other day, outside of Aaron Judge, nobody else on that roster is playing up to their capability or their career numbers. And it's quite remarkable how literally everybody, all the cast of characters, the big names that everybody's heard of, they are underwhelming and underperforming. I don't know if it's a mix of age, father time getting to some of these players, injuries getting to some of these players, the pressure, the New York media market and fan base, and the stuffy clubhouse environment getting to some of these players. But it certainly should be concerning because this isn't the NL Central where 55-52 will get you sitting pretty. They could. I haven't looked at the standings lately, but the Yankees could finish last in the division theoretically. Could they not?
They could, and they already are, and they're I believe 11 games back of the division. And in fourth place, I believe it's the Red Sox. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it is the Red Sox, 9 games back. So now there's a little bit of a separation now between the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's minimal. It's August 2nd. A lot of things can change, but that is a very real possibility now. Not only that they finish last, Kev, but that they're under 500. And you guys can look up if you have the time and the wants and desires to prove me wrong. But I tweeted this out earlier, like in April, like the best thing that could be a motivator for MLB to eradicate divisions and do away with them is for their golden child, the New York Yankees, to finish last and be over 500. They would hate that. So that's what we're aiming for, is that, yeah, they're a little bit above 500, and that maybe they are very close to being a Central Division winner.
Right.
You know, if they had been, because I think that'll be a push for MLB to be like, okay, maybe we discard the divisions, which would be great, because then the best teams would be going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and the other thing too, which is probably a knock on the Yankees and can't be good for them going forward, and I don't necessarily blame the decision makers in the front office for them for what they did or didn't do, but they didn't show a lot of confidence in this team at the trade deadline by getting a big name or two or three. They landed Kenyon Middleton and Spencer Howard. That's all you do.
They got Keenan Middleton and Spencer Howard.
Unbelievable.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, just Google Yankees trade deadline and the New York Post, the Daily News, all the websites are like, worst trade deadline ever for the Yankees. They didn't do squat, and they didn't do squat, but
they didn't. Yeah. But also, can you blame Cashman? And you know, this is a little bit anti-Yankees 3 minutes, so bear with us, people. This is fun as a Rays fan to talk crap about the Yankees. Yeah, can you blame him when the team has shown nothing, and it is the Aaron Judge show? Why would you put more money, you know, into a product that's not already helping? It's crazy. And apparently, I think it was Merrick Carrick who put out there that apparently Cashman was being he just wanted to be blown away by, you know, offers for IKF and Harrison Bader. And here we are with Peter Bendix and company saying, well, you know what? We're just going to do a big under the radar get. We're going to, unfortunately, part away with Colin Zardo. Yeah. But we fix a big issue that we have to move forward in a better, stronger way. And the Yankees don't have the opportunity to do that because they haven't put a really good effort on the field.
Yes. And then speaking on this game a little bit further, we mentioned Zach Eflin. We should also mention Yandy Diaz getting his 15th homer of the year. Apo Taco, that's what you do when you're at Yankee Stadium. Randy Arozarena seemingly hitting his first home run since the All-Star break. A moonshot, I believe Diaz and Randy both hit homers on fastballs up from Carlos Rodon. Brandon Lowe gets a base hit RBI. So does Manny Margot. So you had contributions throughout the lineup. You get that early lead, which is nice. It looked a little bit shaky towards the end of the game, but your boy Pete Fairbanks eventually closed it out, blowing away Giancarlo Stanton in his 197 batting average.
Yeah, let's reel that in. Randy Arozarena, dude. After in the last 30 games, he had a OPS of 538, 539. Woof. Yeah. It was a struggle for Randy, and finally he came through. That was a big bomb. I know the whole, baseball players are so funny, with the superstitions. He changed his hair.
That was a whole nother mess. That I don't know what's going on with this team between Jose Siri and Randy. Like I'm expecting mullets and mohawks next from some guys.
I'm expecting Luke Raley to show up with his hair green tonight.
Yeah,
that's.
I want Luke Raley to have the hipster skateboarder, I guess dreadlocks for lack of a better word.
Yeah, something. Give me the John Jaso look, Luke Raley.
I'm waiting for somebody to not take a shower for a week at a time. See if that changes the fortunes of the team. I don't know.
And you know what? It worked, man. Good for Randy to do that. Love Yandy getting the 15th homer. Why is that important? Well, because Yandy getting his 15th homer marks a new career high for him, which we love to see. And last but not least, Pete Fairbanks getting the call there. Very impressive to get that last out there. It got dicey. It got too dicey for my liking, but they got the outs. It doesn't matter how you get the outs. It doesn't have to be pretty as long as you get the outs. That's what I've been learning as you watch more and more baseball now, it's like 2 decades. Like in the beginning, when you're growing up, you want everything to be pretty. You want everything to be perfect. It's like, it doesn't matter. You got the W, you got the W. Boom. Put it in the locker room. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's very fair, and something that Rays fans and really baseball fans, sports fans in general should understand and take a little bit more with them. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you about Sleeper. Do you want the chance to win more money with less picks? Well, head over to Sleeper, where you can win up to 100 times your money on just 2 or more fantasy baseball picks. Do you think your favorite player can hit a home run tonight? Well, we hope they do. So you can win money on Sleeper. All you have to do is swing for those fences with up to 100 times payouts. Just choose 2 or more players that you like and select more or less on their stat categories, such as home runs, strikeouts, hits, and beyond. So get your picks right, and you could win big. It's a different twist on fantasy sports. So use promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. It's currently operational in over 30 states. That's very important. Check out Sleeper today to win some money. Speaking of money, the Rays got back some money from the White Sox, and the White Sox got Luis Patino out of all of that. That was one of the notable moves at trade deadline day yesterday. Of course, the Rays didn't make a move that was quite as headline worthy and headline grabbing as the Aaron Savali, Kyle Manzardo move, but they filled some pieces and needs by getting a backup catcher depth, and Alex Jackson from the Brewers. They, of course, parted ways with Luis Patino, which I think is interesting. And then they also acquired relief pitchers Adrian Sampson and Manuel Rodriguez from the Cubs.
Yeah. So not that was the biggest splash. Savali, like we were saying, I was hoping for a little bit more. Like I got an instant short term punch to the bullpen.
You wanted Brad Hand, didn't you? You wanted Scott Barlow, didn't you?
I wanted the an effective Chad Qual, someone that you're like, what, who, and then you're like, oh, okay, I like it, but Chad Qual's gives me PTSD, so let's not talk about Chad. Yeah, man, it was not maybe as moving as you thought. I guess the big thing was Luis Patino. He was the headliner for the Blake Snell deal. Let's remember, people, it was Blake Snell, and then you got Blake Hunt, who is in the minors still, Cole Wilcox minors, Francisco Mejia, who has been a contributor at times with the Major League Club for the past 3 years, and Luis Patino, who, again, contributed for the last 3 years, but really was effective for a handful of appearances with the Rays, man. It's unfortunate. I hope he finds it in Chicago, but it seems to me that it would be very difficult for Luis to find it if, with all that the Rays can do for a pitcher,
right,
it didn't work. How could it work for an organization that has been the definition of mediocre for the last 20 years?
Right. Yeah, I think that the oblique injury really set him back. His fastball just wasn't the same since then. And even before then, where, he had the nickname El Electrico. I guess he still does have that nickname. And he teamed with athleticism in his frame that, man, he can dial it up 97, 98, 99. But he just didn't have the strikeout rate to go with this stuff. And maybe that's a combination of location and maybe, the fastball was getting thrown hard, but maybe it just didn't have a lot of shape or movement or wasn't befuddling hitters. So you dial that back from 97, 98, 99 to 94, 95, and you put it in the wrong spots. you're going to have guys take it out of the ballpark. So I think that's a little bit of the problem for Luis Patino. And I think the Rays were trying to, I guess the idea was, hey, let's move him from starter to reliever. Maybe compacting his workload will allow him to find that velocity again, and it just never materialized. So rooting for
No.
him again. He's still only 23 years old. I guess he'll be 24 years old in a couple months, but it shows you that, I mean, I don't know what the final money total will be from the White Sox, but it for the Rays, it's really just a case of we really don't have a use for him anymore. We don't need or want him on the roster anymore. We're taking him to Play It Again Sports, secondhand sporting goods store, and give us whatever you make us an offer. We're trying to get this off our hands.
What do
$10,
you got?
okay, we'll take it.
Yeah. What do you got? Okay. That's what it feels like. And it's unfortunate, but look, a team that is really good at developing pitching, that needs pitching depth, got rid of a guy that already had multiple major league appearances.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? It's not great.
Not good.
It's not pretty. Again, like you said, hoping for the best for Luis, because he is a good guy, and but yeah, it just didn't work out, man. And now you look at that Blake Snell trade. I know the seal clappers will say, "Well, give Cole Wilcox some time, man." All right. August 2nd, 2023. Disappointing is a very nice, polite way of saying what happened with that trade. You got a guy in Blake Snell who could possibly win the Cy Young this year in the National League. Dude has like what, a 163 ERA plus. Yeah, it's insane what he's doing. Good for him. I know that 21 season was a little bit underwhelming, but he's picked it up in the last 2 years. So yeah.
And again, it's just a change of scenery that you need. Go back to the West Coast where he's from. Same thing with Luis Patino. He's not from Chicago or anything, but just new organization, new voices, and see what you can do. Because obviously what the Rays were going through with him wasn't clicking, and sometimes just pack your bags and get a reset and a restart, and that can maybe do wonders for a guy. I'm not counting on Luis Patino to light the world on fire, but yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Blake Snell angle there, because it's not looking so hot as of right now. I still have my fingers crossed that Blake Hunt can become something, but he's more likely to become your, average catcher compared to Adley Rutschman or something like that.
Yeah, and right now with the production that Snell has given the Padres, that's kind of what you need to call the trade okay, good. And Cole Wilcox, I know he's gotten injured, and so he hasn't even gotten a chance to really be on the field that much. And when he's been on the field, I believe like he has a 5+ ERA right now in the minors. ERA is not everything, but it tells you a little bit of the story. I've never heard of a pitcher having a 5 ERA and be like, no, he's actually really doing really well. I mean, the pitch shape, the vertical drop is like, okay, it's still getting hit.
No, I'm not holding out hope. I'm just gonna say right now that you can't win every trade, but that's gonna wind up, and probably already is, a loss just based on what Blake Snell has done in his last couple of seasons and what nobody else is doing and carrying the load out of that prospect haul. So again, I think 4 top 100 prospects, and what do we have out of all that?
That's why you probably shouldn't be so much of a prospect hugger fan. Like, look at this from the side of, if you're a Rays fan and you don't like the results of the Blake Snell trade, just think about that next time you're like, wait, no, I don't want to trade Vidal Brujan. Are you serious? This guy's going to be great.
Yeah.
How do you know that for sure?
I just want, come on, we need a catcher to pan out, to really, really pan out. And I'm crossing my fingers for Alex Jackson.
Yes.
From the Brewers. The Rays gave up Evan McKendry to get him. The Rays are due. Jonah Heim, he turned out. Stephen Vogt, he turned out. Kurt Casale, he turned out. The Rays
Robinson Chirino
didn't make an offer on Travis d'Arnaud. He's continuing to turn out. Like, it's time for something to come through. So I know it's not a sexy move by any means, but it's something that had to be done with the injury to Francisco Mejia. What happens if Christian Bethancourt goes down? you're rolling out Rene Pinto, and I don't even know who
And
after that. So
company.
at least you have a guy with a little bit of major league experience. Again, not great shakes. And he was a guy who was highly touted. He was a top draft pick at one point. I remember, I think he was in the Braves organization. There was a lot of scuttlebutt about him. But regardless, he at least can, from what I understand and what I've read up on, that he can handle a pitching staff if it comes down to it. He's got a lot of power too. I don't know if that's ever going to showcase in games or anything like that. But in a pinch, if you need somebody who knows how to catch major league pitching and AAA pitching, he's your guy for that.
Yeah, he's got a dozen home runs this year, so he definitely has the pop. But yeah, it's different, when you're doing that in the minors and doing it in the majors. Yeah. So, yeah, again, like you, fingers crossed, and hopefully he can provide something, because it is a scary thought right now. If you're a Rays fan and you're like, ooh, what if Bethancourt takes a bat foul ball or a miss swinging bat to the head?
Right.
That would be very scary. And then now you're Rene Pinto, and then calling up Blake Hunt, calling up Alex Jackson. Like it's scary. Yeah.
And it's more likely to happen as a guy like that is getting more and more playing time and more pressure thrown upon him to catch and compared to the other options that are out there. So we put it out on social media. How would you grade the Rays trade deadline? 18% of respondents said an A, 62% said a B, 15% said a C, 5% said a D/F. Ulises, what say you?
I say astonished that 5% people think that this is a D or an F. Why? What were you expecting? Josh Hader and Blake Snell and Juan
I think that's
Soto?
exactly what they were expecting.
God, this is why I know that they're football fans or something.
Yeah.
That they're baseball casuals.
Because the Rays did not get Justin Verlander and Michael Lorenzen and Josh Bell.
I wanted Scherzer, man.
Loss.
I wanted Scherzer. I think that's completely ridiculous. That between A and B, I can see that. Actually, if you look at it, the people that voted for A, 18%, are very close to the people that think that it was a C, 15%. Yeah. So I'd like to talk to the C people. I think they maybe like the Savali move, but maybe they were expecting something else, like for that not to be the big move.
I think maybe more of a larger household name, like a Lucas Giolito, would maybe push them over the hump to give the Rays a B. It's just I don't think Savali is as much of a known commodity as some other guys that are out there. And the other thing too is in the lead up to the trade deadline, how much had we heard of, hey, the Guardians are shopping around Aaron Savali? There was none of that discussion. So you hear the same names over and over, and certain teams tied or in discussions with another team about these particular players, and it maybe becomes a little bit of a letdown because that, why didn't we get Lance Lynn or Lucas Giolito, or fill in a more notable name, if you will.
Yeah, and also maybe they didn't like, maybe they're prospect huggers and they really wanted Kyle Manzardo, so maybe they didn't like the price for that. But yeah, regardless, I'm with the majority here. I think it's a solid trade deadline. I would say between B+ and A-.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I think. Did people say why they felt this way?
Yes, we do have some comments here. Jake Stokes says, got the arms they needed, was really hoping for Pham back. In my mind, he's the perfect type of leader and vet the Rays needed, and has performed in big moments in the Trop already, but overall very happy with the additions.
Oh, wait,
John says, so deadline, curious who they were targeting to replace Manny Margot. Okay. Cash is King says, wish we got a bat, but overall, I'm happy you did get a bat. You got Alex Jackson. There's your bat. Caleb says, Savali and Rodriguez are nice ads, but meh overall. Vince says, I gave it a B, would have been an A if they got a bat. Chris Snyder says, I think moving Margot would have been good, but there must not have been decent offers. Caden says, love the moves we made, but I would have liked another arm or bat. And then Rays fan Nick says, Depends on how this catcher works out. Rays need an offensive-minded catcher. Yeah, I wouldn't put all your green Skittles on Alex Jackson becoming the second coming. He's just there for depth, folks. In a
Maybe
pinch.
he becomes Mike Zunino, who knows? But
I guess
don't
he
put
does
your
have
green-
sort of a similar profile of Mike
Yeah.
Zunino, but a very poor man's version of Mike Zunino. And don't
It's very
expect
difficult. I know it's very difficult for people to understand this, but to be Mike Zunino in the major leagues, that's a very difficult thing. So if your standard for Mike Zunino is like, oh man, he's really not what I want, it's really difficult for any of the catching prospects to get to a Mike Zunino level. So let's do that. No, I wanted to stop you there in the first one with Jake Stokes because we've talked about that who is the veteran leader. Is there a vocal guy in the clubhouse, a position player? I know they've talked about Shane McClanahan being that guy, Tyler Glass now, Zach Eflin. But is there that voice in the position player pool? And we haven't really come up with any names.
Yeah.
Tommy Pham is definitely a name like that. I remember in that 2019 run that in an interview, because this is how Tommy Pham is, he was like, yeah, I'm telling the guys in there that they don't know how hard and how long they're going to be going into playoff contention, and that this is serious and that they have to really appreciate it and that they have to go for it. I'm telling all the guys that, like, damn, that I like that. Give me that. So I'm with Jake Stokes there. It would have been nice to see Pham back. Somebody else got him. Was it the Diamondbacks? The Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks, they acquired Tommy Pham. Yeah, there were a flurry of moves by other teams. Of course, the Astros getting Justin Verlander. Again, it's a theme of just playoff caliber teams having, romances that fell out of touch or whatever, and bringing back those guys. The Orioles got Jack Flaherty. The Blue Jays got Paul DeJong. Phillies, Michael Lorenzen. So and the Marlins were making moves all day as well. So
yeah, no, it was. I think there were plenty of moves. Good big names with Verlander and Scherzer getting moved. Giolito got moved. Shohei Ohtani not getting moved was a big move as well. So I think overall a fun trade deadline, a good trade deadline for the Rays, and we'll see. We'll wait for Aaron Savali to make his Rays debut.
And I think that was the other thing too, is when a couple reporters mentioned Shohei Ohtani to the Rays, it could happen. The Rays can make it happen. This is the time to make it happen. And of course, it wasn't ever going to happen. But you throw those seeds out, and people, look, I get a little bit excited about thinking, hey, who would it take to acquire a guy like that? And then you inevitably don't get Shohei Ohtani, and everything else is like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right. We appreciate the comments, and hopefully Aaron Savali takes the Rays to the next level, or gets them on the winning track as they are right now.
Can we get that sweep tonight? McClanahan v. Cole. I know it's Garrett Cole. I know he's the front runner for the Cy Young, but I kind of want the sweep. I kind of need the sweep. Just again, it's a lot of anti-Yankee feeling as a Rays fan. That is boiling up every time I see those damn pinstripes. So,
well, this would be the day to get the sweep, because again, I think that clubhouse isn't feeling too hot after getting Spencer Howard and Kenyon Middleton. It wasn't a earth-shattering trade deadline by any means, so they're probably not feeling so amazing, just based on how the season is going, and then what transpired or didn't transpire last night. And if I had to guess, McClanahan versus Cole. You better get to the game, watch the game early, because it could be over in 2 hours 5 minutes.
That's true. It's going to be a pitching duel, or it should be a pitching duel, and you can catch that on Sirius XM app. The local broadcast, Rays v. Yankees tonight at 7:05.
All right, let's score 6 runs against Garrett Cole in the 5th inning. Let's make it happen.
I'm in.
That would be nice.
I'm in.
Actually, let's make it the 1st inning. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.